It's so easy to switch on single cylinders. It's probably the easiest BCD I've used for swapping out from cylinder to cylinder. And if you're familiar with the Hydros Pro 1, then let me tell you, you're in for a treat with the Hydros Pro 2. Welcome back, and today we're going to review the Hydros Pro 2 from ScubaPro, and just in time because it's going to be hitting the market December 2nd. And for some quick background, I'm very familiar with the Hydros Pro series because I've had the Hydros Pro 1 with my wife, and we've been using it for probably about the last 3.5 or 4 years. And so we got some good mileage out of those BCDs, and primarily for warm waters. They have been excellent travel BCDs, so I'm gonna pit this thing right up against this V1 and show you exactly what they've upgraded on it. Let's dive on in. But first, for full transparency, I just wanted to note that this is a sample provided by ScubaPro. This is not a sponsored video, but I will have a link in the description. So if you are interested in buying this BCD, I'll see if I can get a deal with that link. But if anything, even if it's at market price, I will get a small part of the sale at no cost to you to support the channel. So I appreciate that. So let's first talk about what this BCD is, to be fully transparent, because there is no perfect for everyone. So my goal would be to help you see if this is a perfect match for you. And so here we have, and it's very similar for the Hydros Pro 1, it's a back inflate BCD, meaning that it's not a jacket style. The bladder doesn't go to the front, it's purely on the back, kind of like a back plate and wing, which is a type of back inflate as well. All of the gas, when you add it to your BCD, is going to be kept on your back. The only difference is there is no plate. So this is not a BPW, this is just a back inflate BCD. But talking about that, this material here is quite comfortable. And one of the highlights of this BCD, and one of the reasons that I've been using it for years now, for travel especially, is that you can fold these arms down and make it super compact, and even fold the wing in on itself so that it's like a little burrito. So this, if you imagine, my wife and I can pack these things down into our luggage case side by side, taking very minimal space, and they tend to be quite light. And so I've always thought that this has been a fantastic travel BCD. But with this new BCD, you'll see some upgrades that kind of make it also viable for local cold water diving or just local warm water diving in general, which we'll get into. Just like the Hydros 1, they offer the ability to have a Air 2 or just a regular BCD inflator on the end. So here you'll see that I have an Air 2 on the new one, and on my old one, I have the regular inflator device, which they call a BPI, which I think must mean backplate inflate. So that's just a guess. But anyways, BPI versus the Air 2. So let's talk a little bit about comparison here. So the Hydros 1 stands about 6.7 pounds or 3 kilograms without the bottom pockets, which those weight pouches are about 1.1 pounds each, or 2.2 pounds altogether. And of course, those weight pockets make it a little bit easier for managing your weight on your waist, and also being something that's ditchable because you can ditch the weights inside those pouches. And this is the pouch I'm talking about here. It's generally pretty bulky. It is decent weight, and so that's why in the past, we haven't really traveled with it, because 1.1 or 2.2 together pounds is quite a bit. When you're talking about 2 people, that's 4.4 pounds. So this kind of seemed like an extra thing to shave off, so we didn't usually travel with them. But altogether, with the weight pouches, the Hydros 1 was 9 pounds or 4 kilograms. So moving forward, now we're talking about the Hydros Pro 2. And one of the appeals of this thing in the marketing, they say it's 25% lighter. So I'll have to be honest with you, it could be a little bit of the Air 2. My Hydros Pro 1 does not have the Air 2, so this weighs a little bit more. But the weight wasn't quite 25% lighter. But the system without the weight pockets came out to be 7.5 pounds or 3.4 kilograms. And now we're talking about the weight pouches. So this is a cool feature of the Hydros Pro 2. They have 2 weight pouches, or potentially you can go with no weight pouches at all. The small one here can hold up one 5-pound plate, which does seem to fit a 5-pound plate that I've been using fairly snugly, and then you can fit 2 5-pound plates into this one, which I will say, you know, it's a very tight fit. You have to have some nimble fingers to get 10 pounds in here. So I ended up doing like a 5 and a 4 just to make my life a little bit easier. But you're supposed to be able to put 10 pounds into this one. But by themselves, this thing weighs 0.7 pounds. And since there's 2 of them, that's going to be 1.4 pounds or 0.63 kilograms. And then let's talk about the small one. So this one holds 1 5-pound plate and is usually good for warmer waters, and it runs 0.3 pounds, or rather 0.6 pounds for 2, or that's 0.27 kilograms for the 2. So the total with the small pouch is about 8 pounds or 3.6 kilograms. But one nice thing is you have a lot of options with this thing. And I will say one nice little touch is that this is one of the main selling points and really one of the highlights of the Hydros Pro 2 system, which is this rail here. I gotta show you this real fast. So once you have these, basically you can just load the weight up and put these anywhere, in your car, on the boat, and put your BCD on, and right before your dive, you would just put this in. And I'm gonna do this one-handed, which I probably could never do with the other system, and just slide it on in until you hear the clicking. One cool thing is usually to see if you could confirm that it's actually in there is you don't want to pull the release, because this will obviously detach the thing. And so you don't want to pull the release, so with this thing, you would actually just pop it in there and pull the sides. And so now you can confirm that it's locked, it's not gonna eject on you unless you pull this thing. So that's pretty neat. This works super well. And it's just, I never before have utilized these things until, you know, this kind of completed the picture for me. I would always figure out ways of not using these things to save weight, and I think I'm going to use them from now on, because this system is truly an incredible and innovative thing for this BCD. You know, you think it's a small thing, but I will say it's quite a big thing, handling and managing your weight in a better way. And also, it's worth noting that these things, if you're looking for a little bit of bling, come in 8 different colors. But let's just take one moment and just say, if you're liking this video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. It helps my channel grow, and of course, more divers to see this video. I post weekly content to help divers build skills, build confidence, and explore the ocean with curiosity and care. And by the way, I have a monthly newsletter that's free that I try to cover the latest and greatest on the scuba industry, including new gear that's released. Check it out in the description. Signing up is free and you can unsubscribe anytime. So let's talk about one of the primary purpose of the BCD is to help you control your buoyancy. And so this BCD will do so because it's kind of a wing in the back, and the way that the gas is added to it, it will disperse that gas kind of in a very interesting way. So there's the traditional donut, which a lot of BCDs tend to use. Now this one doesn't use the donut, but it uses some bungees. So some people may not like bungees, but for the most part, it works quite well for this BCD by distributing the gas to certain positions. So as you're adding gas to the BCD, it controls where that gas goes and disperses the gas throughout the wing fairly evenly, so that hopefully it doesn't like collect in one area and starts ruining your trim or something. Another small thing that the Hydros Pro 2 offers is a hand-held holding point on the bottom and the top. The Hydros Pro 1 doesn't have both of these, so it just makes it, you know, that much easier to move around, especially in cold water diving when you may have a lot of weight in this thing. So you can grab it from both of those, pull it off of your cylinder, put it on another cylinder, change it out really quickly. And that's another thing that I really have appreciated the Hydros Pro 1 and the Hydros Pro 2, because it's so easy to switch on single cylinders. It's probably the easiest BCD I've used for swapping out from cylinder to cylinder, because they have this cylinder adjustment strap that kind of just keeps it in the right place. So you'll be able to adjust this so your BCD kind of always plops on the cylinder into the right place, and some innovative design in this cam band security cinch system. that is a slight improvement from the number one. One thing I will just say is be careful that you don't overly tighten this thing, because I did have this on a painted steel cylinder, and it did chip away at the paint, so it is pretty strong. So just be careful of making sure it's not overly tightened, because it will potentially strip away paint. For aluminum, no problem. So let's talk about that for a moment, because I'm in Seattle, and so that means cold water. And so before, I would always use other BCDs that accelerated in cold water, like a backplate and wing. One of the nice things about a backplate is you can swap out the plate. So I'd have a steel, and for a single cylinder, I'd have a single cylinder adapter. And so all these things added weight. So you wouldn't need as much weight outside of the actual system that your BPW is already offering. So that's kind of nice. But with a super light BCD like this, you're kind of needing to figure out where to put that weight. And of course, you know, I've already mentioned I wasn't a big fan of these things, so I wouldn't put the weight in the front. But with these new rail systems and testing that out, I'm finally convinced I can use those. So all I ended up doing for my 22 pounds was I put a 5 and a 4 in, so that's 9 pounds each, so it's 18 pounds, and I put 2-pounders in each of the trim pockets, so that's 4 pounds, and that's my 22. So one nice thing, and I have to call this out, is the Hydros 2 has bigger trim pockets. So before, you can see here that they're considerably smaller. I think in the old one, you can at best fit maybe 2 or 4 pounds, one plate in there. And this one, you can actually use 2 plates stacked bottom to top. I don't think this was big enough for anything more than a 3-pounder, but you could potentially stack 2 3-pound plates. And let's take a moment to talk about the monoprene. And so the monoprene, you can see, is a new material that they use, and it kind of looks like what they would use for building like a Zodiac boat. I can see that the Hydros 2, and I've seen Zodiacs who've been out in the sun for a very long time, they're fairly UV resistant. So the material looks quite durable, quite UV resistant, and I think it'll hold up even better than this Hydros 1 over time. And so one really cool thing that the Hydros 2 actually did, and it's a small thing, but it's just one of those things, it's happened to me where I put my Hydros 1 on and it gets stuck under your arm like this. And so that's pretty annoying. But this thing, they kind of fixed it with a little magnet, I think, or it's just something with this. Is it a magnet? Maybe it's not a magnet. But anyways, they somehow, like this little string, just wants to push back to this position. So you can kind of see it's really hard to get it stuck back there. It just always wants to come back to the front. So who is the Hydros Pro 2 for? Ultimately, it is still one of the best travel BCDs in my book for its ability to fold down, its durability, its ease of use, its comfort, and great design. And truly, with this Hydros Pro 2, innovation being made like this rail system solves a lot of problems I had with the Hydros 1. So it is still great for travel, warm water, and so I would have never recommended it for cold water from my experience with the Hydros Pro 1, but after diving with this thing in cold water, it solved a lot of problems with these trim pockets, the ease of use of these rails, bigger, streamlined pockets. So now I think it's quite viable that you could use this one BCD for cold and warm water. As of right now, it's running about 1,200 with the non-Air 2 configuration. And with the Air 2 configuration, it's running 1,350. So it is a more premium BCD. But being it's so configurable and diverse in its capability, you could potentially just have one BCD for all of your diving wants. It's a pretty good deal when you think about the whole package. But I won't call it necessarily a budget BCD. So the next question you might be asking is, if you have Hydros 1, should I upgrade? So that gets to be a slightly harder and maybe a more nuanced answer. So my wife and I went diving with the Hydros 1 and Hydros Pro 2 because I thought it'd be good to show them side by side. And so she got a little jealous with the Hydros Pro 2 and the little features, especially this rail system. And so she's decided to go ahead and upgrade from the Hydros Pro 1 to the Hydros Pro 2. So that is saying something. The Hydros Pro 1 is still an excellent design, and I think I could continue to use my Hydros Pro 1 for years to come. And there's a bunch of small things that are nice to have, but they won't be necessarily game breakers if you don't have them. So that's food for thought for you to think if it's worth it for you. But hopefully this video helps lead you to that decision. And with that, if you're looking for general BCD advice that goes beyond the Hydros Pro 2 and helps you get a better idea what might be a good fit for you, check out this video here. And of course, the old YouTube algorithm thinks that this video might be good, so otherwise you can check out that next as well. The more you know, the more you'll love and protect the ocean. Until next time.